Right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this board meeting of Ebbsfleet Development Corporation. For summer today, it's eventually arrived. Summer for us all. We are recording this. It will be released onto our website after the meeting. Thank you for viewing this. If you don't have any members of the public with us, you're very welcome to join us here in our offices. Can we start with any apologies, please, James?
Yeah, so apologies today from Fred Rudis. We are expecting Councillor Kine to join us soon.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest other than standard declarations which relate to members of the planning committee? No. Then we have our part 1 minutes, which are in front of us.
Sorry.
Yes, of course.
Not sure if it is a declaration in the sense that we've previously understood it, but I have just been reappointed to the Design Council expert panel. Which may be not.
Yes, I'm supposed to look. That should be just covered with our standard declarations.
Thank you.
I think it's always better to be cautious on these things. So thanks for raising. We have our minutes, as I said. Excellent set as always. Are people comfortable with those? Are they a true and fair record of the meeting which took place?
Just a minor correction on 1.4. Can we put it to National Highways, not Highways England? Changed their name several years ago.
Good point. Yeah, we will do that. All right. Then actions. Yeah, we got any actions which we would focus on?
Only one that's open, and that's the draft list of the actions have been completed and we had to submit. So it is mentioned since the opposite.
Yes, I close it.
But he's haven't responded yet.
Yeah.
We'll let the board know as soon as we do get a response, it'll be published. So
right, thank you very much for that, Ian. Then we have our forward look there. So it really brings us on to the first piece of business today. Ian, your part 1 strategic report.
thank you, Simon. So a number of matters covered today, this month. The results from the very recent board effectiveness review, which this year was a lighter touch. Remember that previous year a independent review, which we're reporting on here as well from the actions, but a lighter touch. So 90 so there are some results there listed out of from any comments to you, Simon, results. And then in section 4, just an update on where we are with the actions from the previous board effectiveness review. Good progress being made there. We commissioned work on the sector policies, as you can see. So still in progress, but we've taken actions there. Report back on that in due course. So really that noting as well. And then section 5, there are the results from the 2024 staff survey. So we have these results to the board from the closure of the survey. As you will see, the positive results from the staff survey. Many of the indicators see at 5.2, really very high. The 5%, 88%, 83%, etc. So very, very encouraging. And then we've identified at 5.3 some of the areas where the results were not as high as some of those. So in the way that we've dealt with this in the past, we've taken those areas where there's potential for improvement. We also look at the pre-text responses that staff provide as part of the survey, and we as directors, both the management team, look at how we can respond to the issues that flagged through their survey. So we are in the process of putting that together, agreeing some of that with the senior management team, staff, but think the overwhelming sort of response is very positive. Some of the results compare it to some of the we benchmark against the department's results, much bigger organisation, of course, but they're very, very good with some of those metrics. So,
Jeremy?
very happy to take any questions on those.
Yeah, look, I was, just before I bring the board in, I was very impressed by the employee responses there. Some percentages are extraordinary, really. So well done to you and the senior team as well. I think it's a credit to you as well, Ian. Otherwise, board, any comments, observations here? Yes, Valerie.
I just ask on the outstanding board items where you've got work in progress, that's 5 and 7B. I mean, is there a timescale to give us an indication when the work might be completed? I realise that part of it is linked to debug. This is our gift, as it were, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we on the see updates and review the documentation that is in hand. I would expect that vast majority of that done by board meeting. Fair to say, James, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
So, and the 7B, that work is underway. Got a 2-month program probably for that as well. Certainly to do the first stage of that, which is to put our strategies and processes, and then if that flags up any particular issues where we need to do some depth, that's what that has been commissioned, which is definitely a first thing. So I can't put a time scale. The initial bit of work probably the next 5. We just commissioned that.
Thank you. And then continue on 5.3, which you talked about on the staff survey results. You note that the results are relatively low compared to others, but consistent with previous year's results, provide an indication of possible action areas. So if this has been consistent for several years, when is the time to take positive action, as it were?
Well, we have taken positive action. We've taken action in each of these with no results, and I think it's the slightly less well scored, but less well scored. They're still of the neutral position in terms of positive responses, and with a very small cohort of staff. 1 or 2 people, literally, 1 or 2 people in those disagreeing on a big percentage influence. So, and I'm not, we do take those issues seriously each year, but they have proved stubborn to move up much.
Do you have team away days and team building exercises and all this sort of facilitating development session?
Yep. And each time we have a survey, we put in place an action plan, really very keen that the directors and team knows ownership and responsibility for that action plan and monitor our progress against the actions there. So yes, they have proved sort of stubborn to do one of the top one area. Teams working well together. The directors themselves, we've had a constructive put ourselves out. Obviously, we spent quite a big chunk of that talking about the cross-team working and how we can make it more effective and viewing some of the arrangements that we had in place, which maybe haven't worked as well. But again, you are talking about really quite a small number of people that are giving an input. But that's not to diminish the fact that you do take it seriously.
Thank you.
All right, yes, Simon.
Just out of interest, in how many surveys were issued? So there's 42 responses, 85% of the number of surveys issued. I'm always interested in the response rate in terms of.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was at about 52, 53 people in total that responded.
So it's about an 80% response.
Yeah.
Right. In that case, I just saw in the comments section just to update the board, a couple of comments around diversity of the board, the further Ned to the board, just so people are aware that Ian and I had a catch up with the department yesterday, and they are intending to launch soon the process to replace one Ned vacancy. And we did stress very much the need for greater diversity on the board. That's something very strong on. Enough would like to achieve that, though. Of course, it's just a function of who applies and the quality of the individuals, but we are very keen to do that. So people can see that that's moving forward. Yeah.
Where's the focus on the skill set?
Well, in a way, my view was that we're not too specific around that, because I think we have a strong board at the moment, and I don't think we have particular weaknesses. But if you ran a process, so what you will want to do is say that we want person X. These are the hard specifications of the individual. That when people apply, you'll be able to see the way individuals would fit within the current skill set that we have. And also to give you flexibility around the diversity issue as well, because otherwise, if you go and set a strict set of criteria, then that's going to very much constrain you when you come to longlisting and through the process.
See that?
But obviously, sustainability, commercial experience, as we move into different plays, the characteristics to have. All right. Any other comments on Ian's paper? No, thanks very much, Ian. That's for information. Very much. End of year performance. For next paper.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the team for assembling all the information here. So, board will remember we have priority actions within the annual business plan plus 12 KPI metrics. So, this is a report on our achievements against those priorities and those KPIs. So I won't cover it if you have a chance to read it and see how the performance stacked up. At 2.3, just identify some of the highlights from the year and the achievements, which I think are many and varied. Lots of progress having been made on lots of different fronts. And 2.4, we identify those areas where the objective that we set at the beginning wasn't met. I think, as you can see with each of those, there's some mitigating circumstances as to one, we either delayed or held on progressing certain key documents like the strategic outcome list. The third one is probably less so the case, but still on track to achieve the signing of the legal agreement for those community very early this year. We targeted the end of this one back with the developer. We asked that there's still a strong possibility that we can achieve that but it's pretty confident if it does go beyond the end of April. Beyond the end of the year. In terms of the actual the KPIs themselves, as all will be aware, it was another record-breaking year in terms of housing completions. So we broke the record in 22-23. We broke it again in 23-24. So it's 680 completions. I think, as you mentioned previously, Simon, we can't expect to keep breaking the record every year. So, but these are quite extraordinary numbers, and I think a testament to not just what the Corporation does, but the great place that's been delivered here, finds it remains popular, people to buy into Ebbsfleet. So, and of course, the work of all of the house builders and partners out there that are helping to achieve that. So, 2.5 just mentioned a couple of the KPIs which we didn't manage to achieve. One of those being the actual capital expenditure, which is quite a bit lower than we forecast at the outset of the year. And the board are aware, discussed separately, the outcome from the resident satisfaction survey, the 4 areas that we've chosen to use as a proxy for community participation fell slightly below the target. Detailed discussion of that. One of the factors that was the forecast that we made for this, the outturn of volunteering. So it was actually there were 4 metrics that we picked out, and it was across the board. So looking at a slightly more sophisticated approach to that. So, but the paper's got an explanation of each particular priority and each KPI taken.
Yes, board. Neil.
Fast track. Ask about that. Fact that KC committed 9.5 million, presumably good news. And initially, one thinks, well, that should speed up the process because that money's been committed. But we still, I know a lot of work's going into this, but we're still not actually seeing fast track delivered at the moment. I know we've got to deal with the tunnels, but what I wondered was, it says in the report, the updated full business case has been completed so far as possible. Really, what is it that needs still to be done? And when can we do it? Because it would be good to see those buses running through Whitecliff.
So, number of aspects to that. The business case that we had been preparing, which got certain points before we paused it when we found out that ACC had a lot of money to put into this. With that injection of capital from central government, it's entirely possible we may not need to do a revised business. We've already got an approval in place. So if the amount of funding that's now secured through the department plus what we've already committed is enough to do the job, we won't need to. So it has always been the case that KCC were going to deliver books themselves. So we liaise very closely with KCC about their progress towards achieving that. We need to secure a refreshed planning permission. So the previous one expired, so they have to get new planning permission. I'm not sure all of that's been submitted yet.
No, still not submitted, still trying to get their BNG sorted out, as I understand.
We liaise with them very closely about their contractor procurement and their preferred options for securing a good contractor. Some progress has been made there, but probably could go quicker. But that's with ACC to go. So that's the sort of. There are issues around the timing for the tunnel construction. So pull back from that. What we've been looking to do is to get bus services through as quickly as possible. So we've been looking at a couple of interim situations. First one is we expect to be able to make an announcement very soon on this. We've been working with KCC as their commissioner on a initial interim service, which would run from certainly obviously international to international, and will come into Monty as far as it is possible to go to the edge of Alfred effectively, and turn around and come back out again. We expect that service to start pretty soon in the next months. So just in the process of agreeing the agreement from funding the KCC to enable it to run that service. We'll publicise that. We've spoken before about we don't want to publicise it too early and then the residents let down and feel disappointed. So that's the sort of first interim. The second interim solution then is when the road has gone all the way through Whitecliff, not the tunnels, road, then you can run a full fast track service through Whitecliff. It just won't go through the tunnels, it'll dodge up to the roundabout and go into the water that way. So it's not the ultimate final route, but it will be all the way through Whitecliff. We expect that to be capable of running at the back end of this year.
That's, if I may, that's good. And I think we need to keep up momentum on that because as we've discussed before, when you move into a new area, you form a habit as to how you move around. If that habit can be to get the fast track bus, so much the better.
Absolutely. We will also,
and also on the planning application, I don't know whether that's coming to EDC or to Dartford or to both.
KCC.
The KCC will submit it to themselves.
Yeah.
Good, well then I can say something about it. It was meant to be resubmitted in April 24. We're in May 24, and it hasn't happened. What Paul said. So, can we encourage KCC to get on with it?
Certainly have been encouraging KCC to get on with it. As Paul said, I think there are issues in meeting the BNG criteria, but Darren might be able to.
I can't throw any extra light on that, but I'm more than happy to chase people up as well. If perceive there's a delay on this. There
Yes,
shouldn't
you
be.
can go internally and we'll, I mean, I catch up with Lee Birchill regularly.
Yeah,
Derek.
yeah.
The information we're getting is from Lee and from Graham.
Okay.
We've had no update for the last 2 weeks.
Right, I'll get on to Lee.
That'll be
Take it through. If there's an action point, I'll do that.
Brilliant. That's great, Derek. Good point. Now, we want to see that happen quickly as possible now. We know the rest. Any other comments on this? Yes, Valerie.
It's a quick one really, but I think we should thank the team for the highlight section because it really is remarkable and it's very easy to just record things, but actually the context of last year, given it was really high inflation and a lot of market uncertainty, to exceed the housing completion numbers, to exceed the target for new parks and so on, to exceed the target for private sector investment. It really is an extraordinary achievement actually. And that combined does generally throw together the ingredients for really sustainable settlement here at Ebbsfleet. So very well done.
Yeah, it's absolutely counter the trend.
Yeah, 100%.
So well done to everyone. And also, in a way, when we don't meet some of our priorities, that's almost a good thing in my mind because we are setting priorities, things to be achieved by certain dates, as opposed to leaving as rather bland, aspirational, in due course type thing. So inevitably, with something of this complexity, things will occur. So you don't necessarily hit an absolute date, but it means that you're setting yourself, stretch objectives, targets. You're holding yourself to account. So for me, there's no shame or negativity in not having 100%. You get 100% in every exam you ever do. The exams are. So well done to the team.
Particularly when you set your own papers.
What's that? We can carry on the analogy. But just so. So I think that's for noting, everyone. Well done. Let's do it again next year. All right. Caroline, Marketing Communications.
afternoon, everyone. I'll take the paper as read, put a couple of key points to reference. The accessibility audit, which I believe last board is now complete. We've received the revised accessibility statement reflecting our compliance, which will be finalised this week and then sent up to the directors to go live on the website. So that package of work is now complete with some minor adjustments to the technical kind of development end of the website and also the content display layout. And just to remind you, this we are now compliant in line with the latest website accessibility guidance that's 2.2. So that's all now done. You'll see it on the website, ready for next board. In Kevin's absence, I will share some great news stories. Last week we attended the Ebbsfleet Green Edible Garden launch. This edible garden scheme within the school had funding from EDC, and it allowed the design and build out of the edible garden. So we went to the launch. Mark joined us and had a lovely photo op with some students, cutting the ribbon to announce the launch. And it's a garden at the back of the school that just encourages outdoor learning all around sustainability, growing your own produce, healthy eating, and the school were really appreciative and are keen to launch an initiative where once a term they suss out what they've grown from the edible garden, and all the students get involved and learn to make healthy treats from that. So it was a really nice afternoon. Had some great press coverage in the local news, and also some great photos taken, but I won't share them. Not filming, but there were some lovely ones with students. So smiles all round on that. We are preparing our attendance at UK Reef, so we have a number of opportunities for social content and kind of printed collateral to support the team in attendance. So just to put that on your radar, because we'll be sharing stuff across social media. As always, if you'd like to get involved and share across your networks, that's always appreciated, particularly with such a large event such as UK Reef.
When is that?
Later this month.
21st.
All right, so
Yes.
where is it?
Similarly,
Thank you.
The resident satisfaction survey, which has been discussed at last board, has now got a video to further promote the feedback from residents. It's embedded into your papers, but I appreciate that some of you have printed copies. So if you would like to see a version, just give me a shout. It's available on our website, on YouTube and socials. It's a very jolly,
Very good.
very jolly video, but I think most importantly it shares all of the great things that residents had to say about living in Ebbsfleet, and acknowledges where there is room for improvement and our commitment to assisting against those. We're working with the same video agency to also provide the year in the life videos that are going through final iterations, and for those of you that may not be familiar with them, the year in the life videos are promoted. They do exactly what they say on the tin. They showcase the year from the community perspective, about the kind of year that's just gone past, showcasing all the activities, initiatives that strive to bring the community together. So we're going through final feedback and design iterations, and I believe Laura, who's part of the placemaking team, will be bringing them forward at a future board for you to have a look at. So just to put that on your radar as something to look forward to. And the last bit of info, just for transparency, myself and Simon had this conversation offline, so just bringing it to board. In the paper under the social reporting, I have outlined a proposed approach to our continued use and reporting for Twitter/X. It's been a bit of an inconsistent journey over the previous months in terms of the reporting that's available to us. There is the launch of a business package, which allows you to deep dive into more detailed metrics, but that's at quite a significant cost to the corporation. And certainly from my perspective, I don't feel that it's quite a suitable use of our budget to spend £11,000 a year on being able to get the analytics from X. With that in mind, we'll continue to post and we'll continue to report on the post impressions, which is the benchmarking analytic that we can get. And then we'll focus our efforts on continuing to engage with our stakeholders on LinkedIn, where we've seen a really positive increase in performance and engagement. So just to put that on your radar, that we'll continue to post to X. We're not proposing that we abandon it, but you'll see in future reports there'll be a smaller section attributed to the analytics that X now provides us, where we won't be paying the £11,000 a year. And we're still trying to find our feet with Threads. I feel slightly old. I don't actually know how good I am at using it yet, but once we get more comfortable and start to see growth or engagement, we'll be able to report on that performance. So just to make you aware, it's not an oversight in terms of the reporting. It's the kind of fencing we now have in place with Twitter, where we can't get the analytics unless we pay. So that's it for me.
That's great. Board, any observations, thoughts? Yes, Simon.
Yeah, I was just interested in terms of the brand and visioning procurement, Ebbsfleet Central. Did we get a good quality of submissions for that? So a strong shortlist from which to choose our preferred bidder?
Yeah, so I won't spill too many trade secrets. Yes, we are really, really pleased with and grateful for the effort that was put in the submissions, and we felt that there was a multitude of strategies and suggested approaches, but they were all, for the large part, really interesting, detailed, and both creative and strategically approached. So we're pleased with the work to date. We've finalised the kind of quality evaluation, and we're now just ticking all our boxes and making sure that we're compliant. But in short, yes, the submissions were strong, detailed, and good.
Great. Have we decided who we're going with?
Yeah.
Can't name them.
Can't name them, right?
Yes.
So, given the fact that there is a date set for Ebbsfleet Central's, working on the assumption that there is a consent, there may not be, but working on the assumption. Are we going to be ready to go live with this on the back of that to catch the wave or create the wave?
It will be a bit of both. The process of creating a brand and creating that story, I wouldn't want us to rush that process at the risk of underselling ourselves in order to catch that wave. But there are opportunities to maximise exposure in ways that we haven't done so yet, without the full suite of works that we've requested in this pack. So in short, yes, but it won't be the full suite of assets. You know.
But we'll be able to go live with something.
There'll be a mega announcement.
Yes.
With something visual as well.
Yes, but what that visual is, I can't say as of yet.
So I can see the brand later. So it's a later target, so we have that for 6 months of time. But what are your plans if you get a good result on the central planning event? What media do you expect these lined up here and property mags and Structure Weekly and all that all lined up?
Well, not at the moment, no.
We've only just had the date
Just confirm the date. So
finalised, so that's now fast again. Got time. Yeah.
And that can work independently from the appointment. So that's something that we can do in-house. And I want to reassure the board that we're not sitting waiting for the appointment of an agency to support us. There's a lot of PR, proactive PR that I can be doing in-house and will be doing up until the appointment, so that we don't lose any of the momentum.
Yeah, no, I think it would be obviously good to do something which catches the eye of people's awareness, not only in the investment sector, but also politically as well.
No, this is national history.
Yeah.
Even standard and.
Caroline, as you're also presumably covering for Kevin, the video is excellent. The editing. That for us?
No, it's an agency. No, it's an agency called Blueprint Arts. So they're actually Ebbsfleet residents.
Great.
And they are really slick when it comes to capturing that kind of community. So yeah, I could try and follow you off.
Have you distributed it to our household? Do you think that's natural that they would?
So we, at the last board, I believe that I mentioned, we had some trifold promotional materials taken to developers and sales and marketing suites to promote the stats. They've also had the video circulated to their inboxes just to add another tool to their arsenal in promoting Life in Ebbsfleet. So they've got both kind of physical assets that they can distribute to prospective and new residents when they move in, and they've also had the videos to their inboxes.
Oh, no. So I was going through the paper, didn't check. Is that up on our website?
The video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, forward. I think we've had a good chat there. That is for noting, so that is duly noted. Then thank you very much, Caroline, indeed. Mark, planning, design and delivery.
Thank you, Simon. Yes, the usual update from me. So development sites is covered in section 1. There's reference under Eastern Quarry to a scoping opinion that was issued on the 2nd of May. The next couple of sort of key applications are expected to come in, Alcadon Hub, Alcadon Parcel or Catch Title, which is a small residential scheme just north of Alcadon. So those are the next couple of things that we're expecting. There's been quite a lot of work happening around Northfleet Embankment West. Various different employment applications have been with us for a while. The officers have had some discussions with the landowners recently, so all that sort of work has sort of come to life again. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some decisions out in July for that. Section 2, housing numbers. So a good start to the beginning of the year. Committee update as usual in section 3. So we approved the reserve matters for Rocheville Primary School in April. Meeting this evening to look at the Northfleet Embankment East application, the commercial site there, and yeah, we have identified a June meeting for Ebbsfleet Central East. There are committee terms of reference amends included in Annex B and Annex C. So I apologize, I have realised that I haven't actually labelled the documents Annex B and Annex C. So there is a document that has track changes on, which is obviously the amends, and then for anyone who has the combined pack open page 55 onwards is Annex C. Just other thing to note, we have had a new nominee from KCC for the planning committee, who is Derek's deputy economic development cabinet member. So that's James McAvoy. Yes, and that's with DLUC now to go through the public appointments process. So we'll be reaching out to him as of when that gets agreed. Last month there was a request to provide some more information around the allotments in community gardens, which is included in section 4. Dartford local plan approved and adopted by the council last month. If I could just note, thanks to Jeremy's team, really good working with them on that plan. We did a lot of various different bits of work through the process around sort of evidence-based, supporting the examination process, housing numbers and things like that. So I think the policy position that we've now got for that area will be helpful supporting decisions moving.
Mark, very quickly, how long did that take, Jeremy, to get that?
Oh, well, total about 7 years in the making, but it's
Yeah.
about 2.5 to 3 actual intense work to put
Yeah.
it through. Yeah, and it's amazing how many councils haven't done it, and now, frankly, how defenceless they are without
Yeah.
it. So we're very pleased to have done it.
Control and led development.
That's what you need. And just a few other couple of items in section 6. But yeah, it's obviously just for noting as usual, apart from the new terms of reference included in Annex C, which I would like approval, please. Okay. Thank you.
All right, yes, Neil.
Yes, well done to Dartford, and will be very useful for us when we come to make decisions here that lie within the Dartford area. But of course, we also deal with applications in Gravesham, so deal with both. On the terms of reference, they arose because of a discussion we had at the board meeting. I think I'm happy with the wording because it would allow somebody to be a member of the committee for another term, but it would be the exception. I have to say that I may not have said this last time. On reflection, I think it's better if you refresh a committee or board after a time. And there's a danger that you get comfortable with people and then you say, will it be nice to have them for a lot longer, which it would be. But I think these terms of reference can work so that as a rule, we stick to the period and it's only exceptionally, and it would have to be agreed by the Secretary of State. You'd have somebody outside the rule. But I do think generally it's a good idea to refresh and renew, give other people a chance and to bring new voices on. It applies to all of us, I think quite rightly, or to government appointed non-execs. And in principle, it should apply to independent members of the planning committee. Having said all that, so I'm happy with it because of the way it's worded, but I think we should just bear in mind the need to get new people. On your score sheet, delivery dashboard, Mark, I noticed that on maintaining design quality during implementation, the arrow's gone up rather than across.
Yep.
And obviously one of the things we grant planning commissions subject to conditions or reserved matters, we approve them.
Yes.
And we like to see quality of design that we've approved.
Yeah.
So I was a bit worried by the arrow going up.
Oh, sorry. So that's an arrow going up as in improving.
Right.
So the situation is improving, therefore getting better. So
Good.
up is good, and then down is bad.
Right. And that's good. That's good. And that's my
The
misunderstanding.
reason why it's still red,
Yeah.
obviously we do have the action plan that the committee agreed a number of months ago. We're finding fewer examples where developers are coming back to be looking at changes, which is why it felt as though it had been improving. But we obviously do need to leave it a little bit of time for the action plan to sort of properly see through the process.
So it's working. The arrow's going in the right way. Good. Well, I apologise for my misunderstanding. But let's hope that it moves from red to amber to green.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Green is good, yeah?
Yeah, I'm glad yeah. But the arrows confused me.
Looks like it's getting all red.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, that's
I
great.
did look back at the previous one. Let's see what that said. That goes straight across.
Good clarification. All right, Jeremy.
Thank you. Well, that explains why Neil's Chambers are striving year after year to get this profitable.
Yeah.
Well done, Neil. There's a feedback on the plan publicity really for in terms of publicity going forward. It was interesting what happened when we launched it. I mean, we said we'd achieved all this, and Caroline's really interesting view, I hope. We've unalloyed good news for all the reasons we talked about, but the publicity that followed the next few days took us by surprise because it was all about this huge number of houses. And I think what happens is that we need to get across the message that this is actually the same houses being reported on a sort of a growth pattern. And we obviously talked about the number of houses going forward and we didn't think to refer to the fact that they were already the planned houses that were in the plan and everything else. So just a useful bit of information perhaps is just to remember that people out there don't always understand and appreciate that this is part of a longer plan, an ongoing evolutionary plan. And when we talk about an extra 8,000 houses, it doesn't mean that they're an extra 8,000 houses. It means that they're the same 8,000 houses we expect to deliver in that period. And I quite understand that, and it's my fault because when I read it all again, I thought actually, you know, if I wasn't an insider, if I didn't realise this, it does appear like we've just dumped another 8,000 houses on a community that really can't bear it. And it's just an interesting point. I hope going forward we'll have a chance to talk about the narrative and the sort of the evolution of this community rather than just always talking about the volume numbers, because they can scare people. It's my fault entirely. When I read it, I thought, yeah, I completely understand how people reach that conclusion. So hopefully we can put that right.
Well done on the work anyway, Jeremy. So we mentioned.
Well, I should mention Mark and Sonia. Mark and Sonia led it all,
Yeah.
but I don't understand any of this stuff, and they were really, really good. Yeah.
All right, Simon.
Yeah, thank you, Mark, for the update on the allotments and community gardens. That's really helpful. It's good to see that there is some progress being made. Understandable issues that they're trying to resolve, but fully completed. Can you just help me in terms of, as not a planning expert, this request for scoping opinion? What does that mean in practice in terms of what are they asking? What response do we give?
Yep. So
After that sort of request.
So a scoping opinion is a proposal from the landowner about what a new environmental statement would contain. So we're expecting an application to come in to amend the outline planning permission for Eastern Quarry. That will then have to be accompanied by a revised environmental statement, and the scoping proposes what's in, what's out, and the things that are in, the methodology for assessing those. And we adopt a scoping opinion. That's sort of generally the phrase, subject to various comments. So we adopted what had been put to us, subject to comments from various different statutory consultees.
Okay. All right. Good. So we do have a decision here. Need to approve the planning committee terms of reference.
Pages 55 to 63, the combined pack. Apologies.
Subject, obviously, Neil's comments. He's comfortable with them. Is everyone happy with that? Yeah, great. All right.
Can I just, is
yeah.
Neil's comment adequately covered in the terms, we think?
I think you're
So-
fine with the draft.
I do support what Neil's saying. I mean, we were having a conversation last time, weren't we, about a really excellent independent member and sort of, amended the terms of reference to kind of reflect that. But actually, we need terms of reference that will suit all purposes and all individuals.
Essentially, I mean, this allows for someone to apply again, but they would obviously have to go through a proper, transparent recruitment process. And then whether they were the right person again or not would then be considered at that stage.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, good. So is everyone comfortable with the terms of reference? Yeah, okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that, Mark. Ebbsfleet Living, Mark, this is yours.
Yeah, so Kevin's not here today. So I will absolutely take this paper as read. There is a small point in 2.2 just to sort of flag a particular parcel that had been shortlisted for the Housing Design Awards. It's really good to have that group of people round recently. So yeah, hopefully we'll be having some good feedback on that in due course. But the only other update I was going to give was about the Ebbsfleet Green Community Garden, which Caroline covered much more eloquently than me. So yeah, happy to take any questions, or I can take them away and come back.
All right, board. Busy period as ever. Any comments, observations? Yes, Jeremy.
Thank you. It was a long series of detailed questions.
Thank you.
I promised to make representations here, and it's entirely a matter for the trust. It's not for us, but I just wanted to get it into the system a little bit. The grant awards are very, very welcome, but I've been asked to make a representation about whether or not it's possible to have 2 or 3 more substantial grant awards for bigger events, because as I understand it, I'm not an expert, I'm not on the trust, but the ceiling on some of the grant awards are very, very adequate for small events that happen and great, but where an event is it's become a calendar piece and something the whole community looks forward to, the amount of grant being capped is actually quite a hindrance to it. And compared to some of the bang for the buck we get from other events that we fund directly through other things, it would seem sensible to see whether the trust might be willing to look at that again. So I'm not trying to tread on people's turf. It's just the fact I wanted to get it on the record see where they can be fed in somewhere.
All right,
I can certainly take that away and then feed that back into to Mark. Actually, obviously the trust agreed the criteria,
Sure.
but if that's the feedback,
100%.
it makes logical sense to be providing feedback on the criteria. So.
okay, right, Valerie, yes.
And I'm happy also to share that feedback with other trustees. In fact, it's something that we have picked up recently for all the reasons that you describe. But it is a bit of a challenge because at day one, we wanted them to be absolutely open to all. And there was certain nervousness from some trustees about increasing the threshold when some organisations are literally individuals and they're not constituted as such. So the thinking is that we would split it and perhaps have a higher threshold, threshold for those that are formally constituted and therefore would have greater confidence, as it were, in terms of the value for money and the money management.
Fabulous. All right, good. Yes, Simon.
First of all, I really welcome the fact that the Ebbsfleet Cultural Forum has completed their 6-month training course in events management. I think that's incredibly important in empower and equip residents with those skills for organising events. So it looks like they had a fantastic event back in March, which they were able to put their expertise to. So well done for that. Then just one question. In 4.9, it talks about the work with O'Halloran and O'Brien in terms of sustainable outcomes for local young people, especially those who find themselves homeless. And I'm just interested in terms of what sort of levels of homelessness the young people are being experienced in sort of this locality, and how targeted can that support O'Halloran, Brian, Hayes, Ashmere, Countryside, Ashmere, and so on be in terms of reaching those young people? Sounds like a very worthy objective. I'm just wondering.
Yes, I'm not sure if I can provide too much information on that. I mean, in terms of homelessness within our development area boundary, I'm sure that's going to be very low.
Yes.
I don't know whether Jeremy or John it is a wider area, but yes, I know that certainly the various different employability programs have been quite successful over the year. So yeah, I can just take that away and provide some more information to the board afterwards if it's okay.
Right, you'll report back on that. Yes. Yeah, great. Thanks. All right, good. Any other comments? No. All right, that is for noting. Excellent work as always. That then full development infrastructure enabling update.
Jen.
And Jen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go first. Okay. Yeah, so taking the paper through, just going to pick up some sort of key updates really since the last board meeting. So item 8 in the report, Northfleet wastewater treatment works. So I reported last month that Southern Waters Board was meeting at the end of March to review their programme of works in their final year, their asset management period. They had that meeting, and as a result of that meeting, they have decided not to take forward the improvements at Northfleet wastewater treatment works, given the limited funds and what they consider to be higher priorities elsewhere. So essentially, the Northfleet project will be pushed back into the next AMP, which commences on the 1st of April 2025, next year essentially. So it's been pushed back 12 months. Obviously very disappointing. We've voiced that disappointment, but they don't consider it to be a big enough risk, and that limited funds, which they're, as I say, concentrated resources and funds elsewhere. Moving on to electricity supply infrastructure. So we are in the process of putting together an update paper, which we will bring to board by the end of May, which will give us an update in terms of the recovery mechanism under the second comer regulations. And we will seek approval on that paper once that's been prepared in terms of the cost per MVA for the 2 primary substations. very close to having the agreement finalised, but that needs to be concluded beforehand. And we have now reached agreement in terms of the substation location and the cable routing for Ebbsfleet Central West, with regards to the location of the actual primary substation in that particular location. And last sort of key update really in this period is waste management. So a recent meeting between ourselves and KCC to understand their current situation with regards to waste management. Based upon that meeting, we've agreed to prepare a position paper for the next board meeting, which is I think it's the 24th of July, to give an update and a position in order to understand the board's appetite to support that initiative further down the line.
Right. Thank you very much. Ian, can I bring you in on UK?
Yeah, just wanted to follow on what Paul said. So in the report at time of writing, we were still considering this proposed change that you came yes. And following that, I spoke to Simon about the implications of that and as the paper says about the materiality of it. I certainly felt that it was material enough that we should support to change, and Simon agreed with that. What we also discussed was timing of bringing that to you. As we've been reporting for a number of months now, we've been trying to finalise the agreement with UKPN for the additional funding that's been approved. And we're very close to this. So the significant is a financial point that we need to find out. So I spoke to Simon about whether we convene a special meeting online to consider this particular change. Because our next board meeting is in July. I'd like to get the contracts sorted out with the UKPN ahead of that. So on willing to consider that. So just putting that paper together as Paul said at the moment, and when we have it for the meeting, I'll do that liaison with Simon. We'll give such notes and try and find data that's moving for objectives for board members.
Right. Any other comments or observations? It's pointing on Southern Water. Not completely
Yes,
surprising, I would say.
Very. So there was no heads up to that. It was literally came out of that board meeting.
So it's not going to be in this year. That might be in 2025. So
Yes, they've deferred to the next AMP, which commences on the 1st of April 2025.
so any indication that it may get approved on the 25, 26. That's a plan.
That's the indication we're getting at the moment, Nick, but there's no definitive confirmation. It's an indication at the moment.
But they're still waiting the draft settlement from Waffle, aren't they? Which doesn't come out till June, I don't think.
So I don't think there's any guarantee. They've separately down the road here, haven't they?
Yes, so that's my point.
Yeah. So no guarantee.
Effectively, said we're not going to decide for another year whether we might do it.
Presumably within the AMP, they have a portfolio of projects, none of which are necessarily funded or approved. Each one then comes forward at a particular time. So it's just a sort of on the list of potential rather than.
Absolutely.
Can you remind me how much money they need to vote for?
Sorry, what was the question?
So what they've decided is they don't, with limited funds, they don't have enough money next for the 24-25 asset management plan. How much money do they need to buy?
Their infrastructure upgrade capacity works, we understand, is between 30 to 40 million. The older control element on top of that, which is what we would be expected to fund, was 10 to 15 million pounds. Latest update from them.
Yes, John.
Can the odour control element be done in isolation of the upland? No, that's the big issue for people at the moment. Yeah, sure. That they've reallocated their resources, John. The most efficient way to do the odour control measures is to incorporate it within the design for their upgrade capacity. And that combined with the fact they've reallocated resources, at the moment there's no resource to actually work on that even if we wanted to. I could ask the question again, but that's the response we've been given so far. Could ask questions. I'll take that back our end as to sure we can do anything to encourage them. Yeah, financially by penalties. Yeah, understood. I'll take that back and re-ask the question.
So on 3.3, the outline business case for Ebbsfleet Central Phase 1. What do you feel the timing is to get them, but assuming you get planning, OBC, would you expect that to be go before
Autumn.
final being hence,
Yeah.
when you think it's the earliest you could be on site, your initial first infrastructure?
So we would anticipate the OBC going up in autumn to the department. Obviously, it is a very large case, so we do expect it to take some time because it will need to go to the department and then up to Treasury as well because of the scale of it, which is why, of course, we've got the various groups mentioned in 3.3 to support that process. That would then, that obviously the OBC enables contractor procurement. That's the purpose of that as the gateway. And then we would be looking to submit our FBC thereafter. But in terms of starting on site, the FBC we're currently programming for around April 26, with contractor appointment mobilisation between July 26 to November 26 at end of November. That's very much sort of draft on the strategy we're currently proposing, but likely to be some amends to that. But end of 26 is probably where we're targeting, I think, to be on site.
I think it's probably fair to say timetable for approved. Probably get linked to spending new processes and so on. Sure. Unknown.
We are talking to the department about our ability to continue on with the project during that, if there is any potential hiatus in that decision making. So it is a risk we're managing actively at the moment, but how we maintain momentum of design and our work in that respect.
Right, thank you very much. So that's it before. There's any other comments?
Sorry,
Yes, Simon.
just quickly, in terms of for a number of documents that are with DLUC for approval, is there any indication in terms of timescales of approvals for those? We've got stuff up there for Blue Lake, for Grove Road.
Yeah.
Talk about business cases
this morning.
Yeah, we've had 4 with, so we've had an FBC and an OBC with them of late, and two SOCs are with them at the moment. It is taking a lot longer than it has done before with the new process, which we hope to be more streamlined. And it was something we raised this morning in our monthly catch up. It's a bit of a blind spot for us now. So we're currently seeing a SOC taking somewhere between 2.5 to 3 months to get approval, and those are the SOCs that don't go to an investment subcommittee. They are the only ones that just go in. They get reviewed internally and signed off by a director. So it is something that, as of yet, is a real concern. So Blue Lake went in a month ago. We yet to have any comments. It might be another few weeks to even get initial comments from them. So it is something that we've asked them to sort of map out more with us to work out how we can, get things moving more quickly. We've gone through various other challenges around having to sort of explain ourselves, but again to them, us as an ALB. So it is a bit of a challenge that we are trying to manage, and we just needed to factor quite a lot of timing into the programme, and it's then going to reflect how much time we think we need to allow for Ebbsfleet Central's cases, given they are significantly bigger than anything else. It's likely they'll take even longer. So it is a challenge that we are having to feel on all of our projects.
over the years I've been taking cases, the department process has changed fairly. And I think certainly at that point now, because responses are, and it's not the sponsor technically, it's the group of subject matter experts, and they get distributed. So I thought there was some timescale wrapped around this, whereby the subject matter experts had to raise their queries in a set period of time, and then we had to deal with them quickly. That was certainly the case with the electricity discussion, which was actually quite rapid because we had to keep pace with. But these set of queries just, there seem to be no timescales on them at all. So, and of course, we haven't got the day-to-day contact with subject matter experts to be able to achieve the chase, sort of one removed. So I need to escalate it up to the director and the deputy director. But we've got to speed up.
Okay.
When an election is called, does absolutely everything stop, or is this works that's continued with civil service?
No, it will continue.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We hope it's done before that's called.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it should continue. Business.
All right. Great. Thank you very much, everyone. It's noting. Gerard, Finance Operations and Programme Board.
Thank you, Chair. A variety of things to highlight to the board. The first few sections of the paper dealing with the 23-24 financial year outturn position. We've mentioned already that we spent 5.4 million capital CDEL in 23-24, and on RDEL, the revenue side, it was 6.8 million. These numbers are subject to audit. Our external auditors, NAO, scheduled the audit in for early autumn. So we have to have that sort of publicly available and fully finally signed off by the end of this calendar year. In section 4, deals with the revenue budget for 24-25. I am seeking agreement from the board to spend 7.4 million. The details are at Annex B. Section 5 talks about the 24-25 CDEL spend, and we're forecasting spend of 28.6 million, so quite a significant uplift on last year. That number is sort of subject to DLUC agreement. We have put in a revised request for that 28.6. We are waiting for them for confirmation on that. We mentioned that this morning with them as well. Also seeking board approval on the Annex C. It's mentioned in section 10 on the delegations. There are no changes to the document. There's just 2 minor updates which are reflected. So the details of that are Annex C. And since the paper's been written on the health and safety side, just over the weekend, unfortunately, we did have some more incidents of trespass at Bamber Pit at Ebbsfleet Central. 3 people were found trespassing on the Saturday and were escorted off the site. On the Sunday, we had another 3 individuals, whether they were same or not, I'm not sure, but police helicopter was involved. 2 people were arrested for carrying knives. 1 other person was detained. Unfortunately, trespass is an ongoing situation. We are getting fences repaired. So an unusual event over the weekend, but hopefully more than one off.
Jared, where is Bamber Pit? What is it?
I'll explain that. So Bamber Pit sits just north of the landfill site, and it's a small bit of a bit of land that sits north of that. Part of the SSSI, but it was required as part of the Ebbsfleet Central acquisition. We only own half of it. We own just under the southern half. The other half, there's no boundary between our ownership and the third-party ownership just to the north of us, which I think is part of the challenge. But it is a deep SSSI pit, but there is a lake in there that we knew before we bought it, and there is a desire from people locally to get into that lake to fish, and that is a lot of the motivation, but not the entire motivation for getting in there.
Is the main risk from our perspective just a safety?
So, interested, what is the infrastructure we have? Controlling, realising that's
We're on that particular site because of the issues we've had. We have put some CCTV mobile unit there, which we move around. So we also have roving patrols. The CCTV is activated, then obviously people are out on site as quickly as possible. As on the incident that happened on Sunday, there was this missing person. The police helicopter was already in the area. If the CCTV is activated. Yeah.
Triggered.
Yeah.
All right. Gerard, is there anything else?
So, just to confirm, I am seeking agreement of the Annex B on our 24-25 RDEL budget and approval for Annex C on our delegations, please.
All right, board, any comments, observations? Are people fine with those two items for approval by the board?
Brilliant.
Yep, okay, great.
We are carrying out.
Health and safety champion.
Yeah. Yep.
Should be.
It's that particular.
GR system worked adequately. Some of the police helicopter. It's expensive.
I believe it is working effectively. We are constantly having challenges. There is signage up there. We have a big fence. People are quite determined to get through the fence. It is a bit of an isolated footpath down there, but we have taken steps to try and ensure that trespassers are deterred from going in there. It is unsafe currently. We don't want people in there for health and safety reasons.
All right.
It's ongoing. We're continually reviewing our security arrangement.
Just to check, those security arrangements, I guess, are jointly with the other landowner.
We are talking. We have we try and have a dialogue with that particular owner.
Right.
It's difficult to engage with them on certain activities. So we try. So we are trained to take for our sites. We try and ensure we are totally compliant with all our health and safety obligations.
Got to make sure that we absolutely fully understood. All right, board. I think we've agreed there's 2 items. There's nothing else on this, I think. All right. As always, we have some good questions of the public, which we will be posting our responses to those on our website. Keep coming, keep holding us to account. So that then finishes today's meeting. Thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you soon. Great.